From renter to homeowner. A lot of individuals, including active duty service members and veterans, miss out on home ownership sometimes because they do not understand the value of opportunity costs. And when I'm talking about opportunity costs, I'm talking about delaying home buying. So, Kenneth, what we want to talk to him in this segment about is why purchasing a home as soon as possible can be very, very important for anyone and everyone there.
Yeah, listen, veterans, when you talk about the VA home loan that's offered to you, we spoke about unpacking some of the benefits before in the last segment, right? Why wait, right? The opportunity is now. This is a time when you're talking about your VA home loan that you want to unlock. There's a ton of opportunity and there's a ton of benefits in home buying and home purchase. You purchase the right home and it could change your entire life if again you actually treat that home right. There's so many different reasons on why purchasing is a good idea, but there's also again components on the contrary where people would think that it's not, and we're here to talk about that here today.
Definitely here to talk about it and here to educate you regarding the VA loan benefits that you have. So now when we get into that, VA loan is a phenomenal resource, Kenneth, right? So you're able to purchase a home, no money down, no mortgage insurance, all of these different things, below market interest rates. You can literally go, when you're done with this video, you got to watch the whole video and research everything there is to know regarding the VA loan. And I urge you to do so because once you understand everything there is to know regarding the VA loan, you can see those barriers for the opportunity of home ownership is not really as present as you think, because not only can you buy a home with the VA loan, sellers can sell their home with their VA loan and they can sell that loan to you, meaning, hey, you worried about the interest rates. Well, you don't have to get a new market interest rate. You could assume that seller's VA loan interest rate. So there are so many different phenomenal tools. And then let's say you can't do that because there's, certain different red tape regarding that based on time of purchase and things of that nature. Okay, well, buy a house with the higher interest rate and then go ahead and refinance that home. The VA loan has a streamlined refinance program. So literally almost any excuse in the book that you can give me that if you could afford a home, you can purchase that home. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, and listen, when we're talking about the military, a lot of times we talk about the veterans because the VA home loan is offered to veterans, but also unlocking and understanding that the loan is offered to active duty members as well, right? Again, knowing what I know now, again, being a young sailor, I would have took the immediate opportunity to purchase while serving, right? Purchasing while serving. Many people purchase while serving because they have families and they want to be able to house their families. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about the military, they also provide you something called BAH, okay? Basic allowance for housing. In my terms, buy a house, okay? So with that, you have the government actually paying for your expenses for your home while you're in service, and the VA home loan is offered to you. So why not? Why not? Where's opportunity?
Man, the opportunity is right in front of you, right?
Sounds like now.
It sounds like now. And when we kind of look at the examples there and we look at appreciation, right now, imagine, what year did you get into service?
In 2000.
Oh my gosh, 2005, 20 years ago, which is a whole nother topic that we'll get into here, right? Right. But so when we're thinking about that, imagine what the real estate market was like in 2005. And we say, well, yeah, the real estate market was booming and this and that and that. And so again, sometimes you think because you're buying in a high market, well, it was high in 2005. I guarantee you in most markets right now, where we are in 2025, it's a lot higher than it would have been in '05 there. So over that 20-year time period, he would have accumulated a lot of equity, even if he bought the most expensive house that he could have purchased at that time. It's like literally real estate is one of those things. It's very difficult over a long period of time to make a bad decision.
Yeah, most definitely. And I want to make sure that we unpack that. Could you explain exactly what equity is? Because there's a lot of young military personnel and also older that may not understand the meaning of equity, understand how appreciation works with it, and just the economic factors.
Great question. So equity, when we're talking about equity, equity is your money in your home, right? It's money in the bricks. Okay. So now when you think about the purchase price of your home, so let's say you purchase your home for $200,000 in 2005. Well, 20 years later, that home is worth $500,000. So equity is going to be the difference between what your home is worth now and what you owe on it. Because also it's going to be more than 300,000 because you paid down the loan over that 20-year period. So you may have $350,000 or more in equity based on that scenario there.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, and unpacking that, what is the realism of that? Well, that equity you can be able to cash out, right? The VA cash out refinance program. They'll give you up to 100% of your loan amount,
Absolutely.
100% the loan to value. What does that mean? Whatever your house is worth when you bought it versus the difference of what it's worth now, you're able to take the cash out of 100% of your loan. Okay. So again, I mean, of the value of that home. So that's a lot of opportunity there.
Absolutely. A lot of opportunity. And I'll even put a different approach behind it, right? So between 2005 and 2025, how many individuals lost their jobs, had an injury, had a major expense that they couldn't cover? Well, that equity in your home, you could utilize that by taking a home equity line of credit, or you can do a home equity loan to be able to pay for those expenses. Talk about losing your job and being worried about how you're going to pay your bills and getting your home foreclosed and all of these different factors. Well, if you know that's coming and you can be able to take a home equity loan for 50,000, 100,000, 150,000 to be able to see you through those hard times, how invaluable is that?
It's called stability. Use opportunity to be stable for you and your family. And stability is something that I don't think a lot of veterans are used to, right? Being deployed, going on deployments in back to back to back, or transferring to this duty station to that duty station. Well, veterans, let me tell you something. Now that you've transitioned out, now it's time to garner some stability in your home, in your life, and in your family. And this is a perfect way to do so.
Perfect way to do it, right? And even, a different example I think of, because it's like, well, I don't have that much equity. I just purchased my home, or you telling me to purchase a home now. Well, when he talks about stability there, what happens? There's so many people I know now that during COVID a few years ago, they had a decent job, here in Las Vegas, working in the casino, doing certain things, working at the dispensaries, a lot of different things. They've subsequently lost that job instability. They decided not to purchase a home, and now they're worried about having a roof over their head. Well, if they would have purchased a home at that time, not only would have locked in the highest expense that you have, which is your cost of living of your housing, they would have also had a lot more flexibility if you go on hard times. And especially as an active duty service member or veteran utilizing a VA loan, they're not going to be quick to foreclose on you, right? And now think about that landlord when you're renting a property. They're going to be quick to get you out of there. You get 1 month, 2 month, 3 months behind. It's taken maybe a year or two for someone to get foreclosed on. And then even before that, there's different refinance options. There's different a lot of different programs for you to be able to protect you and stay in your home. So that's going to be one of the biggest practical differences between renting and buying. So, a lot of people, when they're thinking about it, they're just talking about today. You need to be thinking about the next 30 years and the future of yourself and your family.
Yeah, it's unprecedented of the, and I hate to use the word ignorance of home buying, right? And sometimes I think it's something that's possibly necessarily possibly done not purposely, but it's information that you may have not have known, and you have the access of the information. So now take advantage of it, because now you could be a working professional here, and now you have everything covered. You have a government job, you have multiple degrees in your belt, but you're a renter. Now that's the next step. Taking that next step of home ownership is going to secure all the hard work that you have done in school, at work, and with your family. So now secure yourself by owning a home. So now let's bring it back full circle. Bring it full circle and have everything there for you.
Absolutely. And then you have to understand, right, that you do not necessarily have to purchase a home and live in that one home forever if that's not your goals or that's not your life situation. You actually don't even have to buy a traditional single family home. You could buy a 1 or 2 bedroom condo, or you could buy up to a 4 unit duplex, triplex, or fourplex property with the VA loan. So there's a lot of different things. And even when you're thinking about that, if you're buying a multifamily home up to that 4 unit, where you're coming into home ownership as an investor, because you're going to be living in that 1 unit, renting out the subsequent units, and be able to create income for yourself, potentially eventually move out of that unit that you're living in, and then go ahead and buy another home and keep doing that. A lot of active duty members and some that we talk to talk about doing that, and some have done that, where they literally purchased 1 or 2 homes for every duty station they were in.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's exciting, right? When we're talking about we're on deployment, you're going on to these different types of countries, having a great time, but and also churning through the ranks, right? And doing and you are one of the star players in your company, in your division, in your brigade. Listen, at that time frame, all the money that you are saving from being away, what is the best utilization? Sometimes it may not be a home, but I will tell you 9 times out of 10, you won't be wrong if you did buy a home. I can tell you that. So now taking those monies, because again, the VA home loan does not have a down payment, but there are closing costs you need to be able to pay for. And you also want a cushion, right? We can talk about, again, financial components, but we won't necessarily get into it. But you want a cushion to be able to support yourself, again, just like if hard times come along, right? So now you have everything you need to take the next step. So now it's just time to take it. All right. You just got back from deployment. It won't hurt you or your family to be able to take the next step to get in the home, because you are active duty. Your job security is pretty good for you. So take the time, take the step, take the opportunity.
Absolutely. So mainly anybody that we talk to regarding home ownership, they always say, I wish I would have did it sooner, right? Yeah, I wish I would have did it sooner. And, I've made a whole video about it that that'll be posted by the time you see this, right? Where we, discuss that, because we do understand that it is difficult right now with the uncertainty. We're not trying to negate all your objections and things that way, but most things worth having is worth fighting for, and it's worth educating yourself and figuring out a way towards execution. And home ownership is going to be that for you, okay? Because it can be a very, very important investment tool and retirement tool for you as an individual and for your family, for those that have families. So it is very, very important to consider it. And so that's why we stress it. And in that video I'm referring to, we'll go ahead and put the link on the screen now. You will be able to understand the different nuances of purchasing a home based upon your situation, right? Because it's going to be different based on a single individual right now, based on whether you have a family, based on this and that. So, in that video, I'm talking about the different stages of life and what you should be considering based upon that. But wherever you at, there is a way to make home ownership possible.
True indeed. And not only that, you guys can also again be able to pick up our ebooks to be able to kind of understand the VA home loan process and home ownership practical steps, right? Because when we're talking about home ownership, there is a process and you must understand it, right? And why I say you must understand it, you must understand it so you have the best circumstantial process to get you in a home. Because let's be serious here, right? Every home isn't a great buy. But if you are in a home, it is great for you. Okay. And that's a big difference. It's a very big difference, right? Again, you spoke about the, touched on the economic cycle, right? What goes up must come down, but what's down must come up in regards to the economy. All right. It's an economic cycle that is going to pass. 2008 was one of the worst crises ever, right? But it at some point in time, it passed. It's going to pass. And from a lot of VA buyers currently at the moment, what's being spoken for most is, hey, the interest rates are too high. How many times are we going to hear that? How many years are we going to hear that, right? In all actuality, in a historical view, when you talk about mortgage interest rates, the interest rates are currently where they are normally set on average. Okay. When veterans were purchasing homes for 2%, 3%, even 4%, that is below market interest on a historical value listing. Okay. So when we talk about that, be very conscientious of your circumstance, because again, your circumstance may not be the next veteran's circumstance, because I'm sure your buddy has said, hey, don't take that interest rate. I got mine for 2.5. I know somebody. And you show me that loan officer who's able to get that 2.5 right.
No, absolutely. Because, when we're talking about purchasing a home, and then when we're talking about it as an investment vehicle of purchasing, a smaller property or a condo, and then, restructuring and going to purchase your forever home a little later, we're talking about doing that. And we're talking about securing the future of your family and your kids, right? Because when we think about it over the long term, you have young children or you have children at whatever age. Well, when they go out to purchase a home is going to be a lot more expensive. Well, what if you've already purchased 2, 3, 4, 5 homes and they could just move into one of your properties? How powerful is that? How powerful is it for a family member that you want to care for and you have a rental property, instead of them needing to go out and beg for someone else to rent a property to them? What if you could secure them in one of your properties? There's so many different options and activations on why this is important. You're literally creating that generational wealth. So when we're talking about the kids there, hey, they're living in that condo while they're in college or, whatever. And then they could stay in that as long as you want them to. And you could really plan and build out. And, I know Kenneth, we have those different type of options, and we just wanted to kind of see how you feel, regarding that, and just the importance of being able to pass those homes down to your children.
Yeah, I listen, you guys. For every child, you should have a home. Let that soak in a bit. For every child you have, you should have a home. We understand life insurance is great. We understand 401ks are great. We understand that any other investment tool is great because you're investing. But let me tell you, investment in a home for your child is going to be one of the best tools that you will ever need or desire in you and your family's life. And we can go down the laundry list of why, but I'm only going to tell you one. The child is outside of your home, okay? And they're safe and secure. And you know where they are. You have access at any time, okay? So that is a big, big component that we want to focus on, you guys, because investment tools are investment tools. The market is going to fluctuate on a continuous basis, but I'll tell you one thing that's always going to go up is babies being had in the global world, okay? And also real estate prices. There's not enough land for the amount of people that we have. It's just, again, supply and demand. Very simple.
Very simple there. Very, very simple. So thank you for that, Kenneth. And, something that we kind of encounter and kind of hear about, within our community, especially, right, is that, hey, you're 18, it's time to get out the house, right? That is, an anecdote that we definitely hear, quite often. But I even want to encourage and even at least had a conversation here that if you were unable to have your children, purchase a home or be able to purchase a home for them and you own the home that you live in now, you should keep them within that home until they're able to afford to buy a home of their own. Why are we kicking our children out? Why are we kicking our children out before they can reach home ownership? Let them stay in to 25 years old or 30 years old when they're able to purchase a home. Especially our daughters. I mean, we got a daughter here, so she definitely gonna need to stay home and until that. But we're creating different things for them as far as owning other properties. But you're either gonna live here, live in one of these properties. You're not about to go out paying rent in the open market. That's just not what we're doing. So you should look into that personal anecdote there and really adopt some of those principles for yourself. And you could think about it twofold because there are families right now that don't own a home, cannot afford a home, but they have adult children that's somewhere paying rent and they paying rent too. It's like, well, how does this make sense, right? You want to still be able to care for your children. They still want to be able to care for you. You're in the same city. Why are we paying rent in two different places where we could use cooperative economics, live together, and be able to purchase a home together and then help the child purchase their own home and move that way? The reason why we consider home ownership to be too expensive is because we're going at it as individuals. We're not going at it collectively. And if you think about a collective approach of having your family members, whether it be children or retired parents, and pooling that income together, if that's what you need to do, then you need to do that to achieve that home ownership of that first property. And then the next person can purchase a home once they can afford to on their own. And you continue to build from that strategy.
Mm, that's powerful there. It's powerful. And one thing I kind of took out of that is having to understand the financial literacy. Financial literacy is a component that I think most people do not understand or do not want to understand. Those understandings would create the plan that you made, right? But also beyond financial literacy, uh, kicking a child out at the age of 18 who has minimal education, minimal job experience, and also just minimal experience in life. Well, it also lacks love, and I'm not again pointing or judging at any parent, but that's just in a thought process that you want to focus on as well, because I don't think love would put a child in that circumstance, right? As parents, you want to help your child grow, develop, and also be a productive member of society and be the best that they can be. But they can't do that under turmoil and distress. And we can't get to the point of home ownership if we don't have the financial literacy part and also the component of the support through love. So it's just I think that's where everyone could also use a little bit of patience and understanding with that. But that's just, again, that's just my 2 cents of it, because again, at the end of the day, you're either going to buy or not. Okay. You're either going to take the opportunity to get a home and stop waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting until the market is right, when it can pass you and the prices are going to be sky high. Okay. One thing that we know that isn't going to fall, that we, again, what we would suspect isn't going to fall, just based upon historical values, that is the housing market. So the time is now. Take the time to be able to get into a home and take the steps to be able to get into a home and secure your child and not kick them out at age of 18. Because, but I'm not, again, like I said before, that's no slight to anyone, but you want to make sure that your child is secure. And the way you can do so is purchasing a home for them so they have somewhere to go, because they need some freedom. They need some independence, and that's how they'll be able to do so.
Well, my daughter will get her freedom and independence when she's married off at 45. No, but Kenneth gave his personal anecdotes and things there. He said it was only 2 cents, man. I think it was worth millions, right? Then when you're on the ground that you stand on, you're building a foundation. When you build a foundation, you can build a business. So stay tuned for our next segment. We're talking all things entrepreneurship. Stay tuned.